My name is Antje Götz-Bungarten. I am German. I come from Bavaria. I work there for the Bavarian Criminal State Police Office. We are a special section against radicalization. A Center for De-Radicalization is our name. And we are a multi-professional team. I'm one of them. My colleagues are police officers or Middle Eastern studies experts. And me, I'm a psychologist. And I'm working part-time for the police. And also I'm working in therapy. I'm doing therapeutic work, behavioral therapy. I say that because sometimes it's a bit difficult to get those points together, but because the difference between the work for the police is that it isn't on free will. The patients don't come to me. But there are also a lot of spillover effects. What I learned from therapy, I can use in the work for the police. I've been working in this field since 3 years now, and I'm still learning about radicalization. Like I said, I'm a psychologist and not an expert in Middle Eastern studies, so I had to learn what is radicalization and especially the difference between religion and religiously argued radicalization.
How do you tackle radicalization in your work?
My point in the work is to get in contact with the persons, find out what are the real needs underneath the radicalization, what is missing, what went into a difficult way in the person's life. And so to find out, and by finding that out, starting to offer alternatives. Like, as we know, religion is a good stabling factor for mental needs and psychological needs, but radicalization is no religion, and so it's important to give something else to the person to get his or her life into her hands again. And that's also the biggest challenge, to get in contact and be in a partnership with the person and together finding out what could be an alternative to this extremist way. When I heard myself saying that just a moment ago, I thought, okay, that's the ideal situation. That is the situation I have when I'm working as a therapist with my patients. But working with radicalization, I don't have the persons coming up to me and saying, oh, could you help me out, please? And so one of the first changes is to get in contact and trying to make the person open for working together before legal action hits them.
Do you work alone or in a multi-agency setting?
There are quite a lot of different professionals in this field, and it's so important to work together and not only working parallel, each for himself, but also working like in a close networking, one with each other. Keeping in mind maybe the different ways and different interests, but also keeping in focus the shared aim which we all share.
With which other practitioners do you work to tackle radicalization?
I work with the police officers, of course, but I also work with youth care and social care, and we have municipalities if it comes up to refugees. We have schools and the teachers we have to talk to. We also have to work with the families because they are very important frame how the radicalization can appear.
How often do you meet these practitioners for this multi-agency work?
We have the multi-agency work, sort of multi-professional work in our team already. Then we have other police officers spread around over the Bavaria, and we have an NGO which we cooperate with very closely, because we as police, we are not the social workers. We only cooperate with the social workers.
What's the name of the NGO?
It's Violent Prevention Network that we are co-working in Bavaria with, and we have regular meetings because we are dealing with cases of security relevance, and we have regular meetings monthly with the decentralized prevention police officers, and then we have round tables. We have weekly with our team. We sit together and talking about the case, the persons. Then every 2 or 3 weeks we sit together with the NGO. We have a real meeting. But of course we are in close exchange every day in the work. We have about every 2 months we have a meeting with the decentral prevention police officers. And in the cases, we have the multi-agency approach, which with the round tables, but they are not regularly. It depends on the cases and how complicated the case is at the moment.
Are you dealing mainly with religious radicalization, or can it be political radicalization or anything else?
We inside the police belong to politically motivated delinquents. So actually we could do risk assessment and things like that also for right-wing or other politically motivated extremists. But our cooperation with the NGO is focused on Islamic religious sort of motivated extremism.
What's the most rewarding about your work in tackling radicalization?
Of course, I'm a psychologist, and I like the most if I get in contact with a person, and the most rewarding thing is if I get the idea that the person feels understood and feels able to find a different way for him or herself. But also before that, I'm glad if we multi-agencies work good together, share the information to make a good plan, so that the person is carried and gets different offers from the multi-agencies, and there is still enough space for the person, him or herself, to develop.
How has RAN helped you? Is there anything more you would like or expect from RAN?
For me, RAN is a great opportunity to meet other players in Europe on these meetings, get into the personal exchange, and then do myself the follow-up networking. But RAN offers a framework on which we can meet and exchange and learn from one each other. And also, it's not only talking about the things, it's also very valuable, the products, the papers which result after and beforehand. And these kind of meetings, the way they are structured, they take you as a participant also in an active role. You can't just lay back and listen. You have to be active and work with it. And like this, everyone feels obliged to put something in there, and so everybody can take something out. That's what I think is a good thing about it. And what I'm very grateful for that I can take part of.
Is there anything that you learned within a RAN meeting and that you could implement in your practice?
Yes, very often. The different models we have in Europe, the points of view of psychiatrists. It's very often that I take notes and go back home and tell my colleagues, and afterwards I get in contact with, like, how do, for example, in Denmark, the people do the multi-agency approach, and how do psychiatrists go to the phenomenon, approach the phenomenon. And for example, from this meeting again, I will take back home that I have to improve the cooperation and networking to the clinical system, because it's so important.
This was Antje Götz-Bungarten, psychologist at the Bavarian Criminal State Police Office in Germany. Antje took part in the Policy and Practice meeting, a mental health approach to understanding and preventing violent extremism. Please visit the website of the Radicalization Awareness Network to find more information about its activities, and stay tuned for our next monthly interview podcast.